Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
Shalom, shalom. Double grace and peace be unto each and every one of you. It is another day that the Lord has made. May we rejoice and be glad in it. If you are still in the land of the dying, it's an indicator that Yahweh has been good to each and every one of you, every one of us. And we ought to give thanks. We ought to express gratitude for his goodness and for his mercy. Welcome to Inspirational Thoughts. Remember, Inspirational Thoughts is a program that is designed to convert thoughts into words with the intent to motivate and inspire each and every one of us to do better and be better. And I believe we can do better and we can be better. And in order for us to execute this efficiently, we need to consider three things. Number one, we need to consider that it requires effort. Your life is not going to change overnight. You have to put in the work. Number two, it requires you associating yourselves with the right people. Accompany yourself with people that will uplift you, people that don't want to see you fall. Number three, feed upon the right things. What you feed yourself with, that's what you are going to reproduce. This morning we are going to look at part two, be impeccable with your words. And today we're going to question, what does this really mean? We're going to probe into it a little deeper. We're going to look at a few examples, and hopefully we're going to make an application. And at the end, what I want to do is ultimately encourage you to make that agreement with yourself. Make that agreement with yourself. Tell yourself that you are going to be impeccable with your words. Usually, when we think about our words and the effect, we think of the effect that it has on others. But often we do not pay attention to the effect our words have against us. And being impeccable with your words involves not using your words against yourself. And we're going to probe into this a little deeper. However, before we jump into this, I would like to share the thought or the quote for the day. The quote for the day. Let me just put it up on the screen. It's very simple. It's very simple. Every moment matters. Chase your dreams. Health before money. Celebrate small victories. Now, as simple as this may sound, I believe it is profound. And if we apply this concept in our lives, we can truly bring about a change. Every moment matters, and that is true. And it says, chase your dreams. Chase your dreams. Health before money. And speaking on this subject of health before money, we live in a society where many chase not their dreams, but they chase money. That's all they're after. Everything is about money. They will destroy another person's life for money. They will also destroy their own life before money. So health before money. But when we speak of health, I would also like us to consider that we can make reference to two things. One, our spiritual, our physical health. Let's start there first. Our physical health, and number two, it could also make reference to our spiritual health, because we can be spiritual, we can be physically healthy and spiritually unwell, and that's a fact. We could be spiritually healthy and physically unwell. Now, if I were to choose, I would choose the latter. I would choose to be spiritually healthy and physically unwell, as opposed to being physically healthy and spiritually unwell. Why would I make that decision? I would make that decision because being spiritually healthy um, affords me the opportunity to receive salvation and to spend eternity with our Heavenly Father, which to me is important. What is important to you? Health before money. And in the latter part, it says celebrate small victories. It matters not how big the victory is, and you should not wait until something big happens for you to celebrate. Celebrate the small victories, appreciate them, and therefore, when the big victories come, then you can deal with it. You can definitely deal with it. Welcome, one and all, to Inspirational Thoughts. We have just shared with you the quote of the day, or the quote for the day. And this morning we are going to delve into um, being impeccable with your words, and more specifically, we are going to seek to define it, just in case you don't have a clear understanding what it means. We're going to probe into this a little deeper. We're going to look at a few examples, and I do hope that this today's presentation will truly inspire and motivate you to do better and to be better. Right? I would also like to apologize for yesterday. Yesterday we were scheduled to have Brother Neraya on, but we had a miscommunication when it relates to time. Where Brother Neraya lives, it's we are an hour ahead of them. So he's supposed to come on for 8 a.m. AST, but he mistook that and he came on at 8 o'clock his time, which is 9 o'clock our time. And I waited um, until we communicated, and it was just a little bit too late to come on. And when I have guests on, I don't like to start the program and have the guests come on, because sometimes audio could be an issue, and we'd like to fine tune all of those things before we commence, so we won't have any hiccups. Nonetheless, we communicated, and he has consented to clear next week Wednesday, and so that he can be with us. I truly am looking forward to this, as we seek to get another perspective on the subject: is salvation only for the Jews? Nonetheless, folks, let us get into our session today. Remember, we are taking a closer look at the four agreements that we make with ourselves that can truly transform our lives. And we are currently looking at number one, which is one of the most difficult agreements to make, and that is be impeccable with your words. We're going to seek to define it. So what does the word impeccable means, or impeccability? Impeccability means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. The I am, or im, in impeccable means without. So impeccable means without a sin. From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something more common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self rejection is the biggest sin that you commit. In religious terms, self rejection is a mortal sin which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life. But what does it really mean to be impeccable with your words? Being impeccable with your words is not using your words against yourself. And I have to pause there for a moment, because I would really like for us to understand this. And my camera went off, and I'm not sure why, but let me see if I could get it up and running again. If I get it up and running quickly. If not, I'm today. You may just have to listen to my voice. Have to listen to my voice. Let's see if we can get this going again. Put this back on, and I think it's there. Let's pray that it doesn't cut off again. So, impeccability. It is not using your words against yourself. Most of the time, when we think of the effect words have, we equate it to the individual that's listening or hearing the words that we say. But often we do not take into serious consideration the effect that it has on us. So the idea of being impeccable with your words, it donates not using your words against yourself. Now, if I see you on the streets and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the words against you. But really, I am using my words against myself, because you are going to hate me for this, and you hating me is not good for me. Therefore, if I get angry and with my words send all that emotional poison to you, I am using the words or my words against myself, right? Because you hating me is as a result of what came from me, right? And you hating me does not benefit me, right? It does not benefit me. So, in that sense, I am using my words against myself. If I love myself, I will express that love in my interaction with you. And it is important, to take note of this. How we interact with others determines how much love we have for ourselves, right? It determines that, right? So if I love myself, I will express that love in my interaction with you, and then I am going to be impeccable with my words, because that action will produce a like reaction, right? It is going to produce a like reaction. So if I love myself, right, and as a result of me loving myself, and I'm interacting with you, and I'm being impeccable with my words, then the words that come from my mouth are not words that's going to work against me, no words that will bring you down, right? And that type of emotion, that type of energy is reproduced. It is reproduced because it is said, what you sow, that's what you are going to reap. That's what you're going to reap. If you sow to the flesh, then you're going to reap corruption. But if you sow to the spirit, you're going to reap everlasting life. If you sow orange seeds, then you are going to get orange seeds. So when we think about relationships and building better relationships, it starts with me. It starts with how I view myself. It starts with how I speak to myself. And considering that and knowing that my words can be used against me, then I'm going to be cautious with the words that I say. I believe that is why when someone is arrested, I'm not too sure if it is done within the Caribbean, but they would also always tell you, be silent, because whatever you say can or will be used against you. And so the words that you say can indeed affect you. And I want to say this again. If I love myself, and I'm speaking in the first person, and I'm speaking in the first person because I really want for us to get this, because the change starts with me. If I love myself, I will express that love in my interaction with you, and then I am being impeccable with my words, because that action will produce a like reaction. If I love you, then you will love me. If I insult you, you will insult me. If I have gratitude for you, you will have gratitude for me. If I am selfish with you, you will be selfish with me. If I use the words to put a spell on you, you are going to put a spell on me. And that's the reality. That is the reality that we are living in. Someone may say that may not always be the case, because there are some people that are just bad mind. And it matters not how you conduct yourself and you show them love, they will show you hate. We're going to meet people like that. But the principle, the rule of thumb generally is the energy that you bring forth, that's the energy that's going to come back. And keeping that in mind, that should encourage us to be impeccable with our words and not use our words against ourselves. Being impeccable with your words is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for self. That is where it starts. That's where it starts. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your words, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because we have learned to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others, and more importantly, with ourselves. One might say, it is possible to lie to others, but are you aware that we can lie to ourselves? We can deceive ourselves. And the Bible teaches us that. The Bible teaches us on that subject. We can deceive ourselves, and that to me is one of the worst forms of deception. To me, it is better that someone deceive you than you deceive yourself. It is better. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to curse, to blame, to find guilt, to destroy. Of course, if we also use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. The word is pure magic. And I believe probably we have never ever looked at our word in that way. Our word is pure magic because it has an immediate, short term, and can have a long term effect, right? That's how powerful the word is. It's like it is magical. It can simply transform lives. The most powerful gift we have as humans is the power of word. And often we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge. We create chaos with the words. We use the words to create hate between different races, between different people, between families, between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and and spread the dream of hell. The misuse of the word is how we pull each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt. Folks, it is important that we understand this. And the point that I'm trying to drive home, the point that I don't want us to forget, is that we can use our words against ourselves. And the encouragement is don't use your words against yourself. And when it comes to being impeccable, if we're impeccable with our words, then we're going to use our words to communicate truth, to spread love. And in so doing, we are not going to use the word against ourselves. So the word is like pure magic. There was a woman, for example, who was intelligent and had a very good heart. She had a daughter whom she adored and loved very much. One night she came home from a very bad day at work, tired, full of emotional tension. Does that remind you of someone? Do we have days like this? And with a terrible headache, she wanted peace and quiet, but her daughter was singing and jumping happily. The daughter was unaware of how her mother was feeling. She was in her own world, in her own dream. She felt so wonderful, and she was jumping and singing louder and louder, expressing her joy and her love. She was singing so loud that it made her mother's headache even worse. At a certain moment, the mother lost control. Angrily, she looked at her beautiful little girl and said, "Shut up. You have an ugly voice. Can you just shut up?" The truth is that the mother's tolerance for any noise was non-existent. It was not that the little girl's voice was ugly, but the daughter believed what her mother said. And in that moment, she made an agreement with herself. Let me tell you something. We sign agreements, right? We sign agreements. But one of the greatest agreements that we can ever sign is one for ourselves. And one of the agreements that we need to sign with ourselves is to be impeccable with our words. Choose your words wisely. Choose your words wisely. After that, she no longer sang because she believed her voice was ugly and would bother anyone who heard it. She became shy at school, and if she was asked to sing, she refused. Even speaking to others became difficult for her. Everything changed in that little girl's life because of this new agreement. She believed she must she must repress her emotions in order to be accepted and loved. Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement and it becomes part of our belief system. This little girl grew up, and even though she had a beautiful voice, she never sang again. She developed a whole complex form from a spell. This spell was cast upon her by one who loved her the most, her own mother. Her mother didn't notice what she did with her words. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her daughter. She didn't know the power of her words, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did not, she did what her own mother, father, and others had done to her in many ways. They misused their words. Folks, if we are real, then we will agree that this story is indeed factual. I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but I have experienced this, and I know people who have experienced this. There was this brother, um, very eloquent brother, very eloquent brother. This brother could speak. And when your words, this brother, you sometimes have to go and use a dictionary to find out the definition. That's how intelligent this brother was. But his confidence level was very low, very low. He had to migrate to another island to go to school, and there someone who interacted with him told him that he was very intelligent and he has a great talent. He has great talent and ability. And after a few words of assurance, this brother's mentality changed. For this young child, it affected her present. It affected her future. This little girl could have become a great singer, making loads of money, living comfortably. But due to the words her mother spoke to her, it destroyed her altogether. And why did it destroy her? It destroyed her because when she heard the words, she agreed with the words. She agreed. She made that agreement with herself. And therefore, she determined that I am never going to sing again. Because if my mother can tell me that, then what about other individuals? So with this young lady, this young child, this young daughter, how many times do we do this with our own children? We give them these types of opinions, and our children carry that black magic for years and years. People who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing often. And the thing about it is, if an outsider comes and tells you something of that nature, you're going to take it differently. But if someone close to you, right, if someone close to you makes various statements, then you're going to agree with those statements. And based on that agreement, there are some things that you are not going to do anymore because of that agreement that you have made with yourself. We just have about 4 more minutes to go. But there is still some other things that we need to talk about. Let me just share another example quickly with you. You awake in the morning feeling very happy. You feel so wonderful. You say you stay 1 or 2 hours in front of the mirror, making yourself beautiful. Well, one of your best friends says, "What has happened to you? You look ugly. Look at that dress you are wearing. You look ridiculous." That's it. That is enough to put you all the way down to hell. Maybe this girlfriend just told you this to hurt you. And she did. She gave you an opinion with all the power of her words behind it. If you accept that opinion, it's because it becomes an agreement now. And you put all your power into that opinion, and that opinion becomes black magic. It becomes black magic. You see, these types of spells are difficult to break. The only thing that can break a spell is to make a new agreement based on truth. And the truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your words. And listen, in the book of John chapter 17 and verse 17, the Bible tells us, "Sanctify them through thy truth, thy word is truth." We are also taught and learn that the truth shall make you free. So true freedom, and if we are going to break free from various spells that have been cast on us by friends, family members, associates, then we have to make a new agreement with ourselves that is based on truth. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your words. On one side of the sword are the lies which create the black magic. On the other side of the sword is the truth, which has the power to break spells of black magic. Only the truth, only the truth will set you free. I just saw a comment coming up. Let's pause for a little while. And Thips, I hope I pronounce it right. Well said. Your words have power, negative or positive. And that is true. That is true. Say, and I just can't help but express the fact that it is only the truth that can set you free. So many of us, and many are under spells cast by, like I said, family members, friends. If you want to break through from that spell, then you have to make a new agreement that is based on truth. Let me pause for a moment and speak of the religious world that we're living in. There, I mean, let me tell you something. Pastors put spells on people. They misuse of the word of God. They misuse the word of God. They inject their own ideologies, their own thinking, their own concepts, their opinions. And they present that to people with confidence. And the people listening accept it as truth. They accept it and they make an agreement with themselves. And that is why they determine, I'm going to go to that church over that church because of what they have heard and the agreements that they made with themselves. But if we are going to break free, then we need to turn back to the truth, which is the word of God. So being impeccable with your words, it begins with the truth. Looking at everyday human interaction, and it is 8:46. We can we take a few more minutes? I know usually no, that's okay, right? I just want to share just a few more thoughts with you quickly. Looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our words. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip. We call it gossip, right? Gossip is black magic, and it's very worse because it is pure poison. We learn how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, openly giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they don't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions, and we learn this as a norm, a normal way to communicate. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in human society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better. A feeling, right? To see someone else feel as badly as we do. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The concept of our reality. There is an old expression that says, misery like company, and people who are suffering in hell don't want to be all alone. Fear and suffering are important parts of the dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down. Folks, listen, using the analogy of the human mind as a computer, gossip can be compared to a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of computer language written in the same language all the other codes are written in, but with a harmful intent. The code is inserted into the program of your computer when you least expect it, and most of the time without your awareness. After this code has been introduced, your computer doesn't work quite right, or it doesn't function at all because the codes get so mixed up with so many conflicting messages that it stops producing good results. Human gossip works exactly the same way. For example, you are beginning a new class with a new teacher and you have looked forward to it for a long time. On the first day of class, you ran into someone who took the class before, who tells you, oh, that instructor was such a pompous jerk. Sorry, I had to say it. He didn't know what he was talking about. And he was a pervert too. So watch out. Hmm. Have you ever experienced that? You are immediately, they have been imprinted in your minds, these words, and the emotional code that poison had when saying this. But what you are not aware of is his or her motivation in telling you. What is the main reason why that individual told you this? And these things happen. And because of what that individual said, when it relates to that instructor, you listen to it, and then you form an agreement with yourself, and you go and you sit in that classroom, and you don't hear anything. All you hear is what that individual said to you. All you hear is what that individual said to you. It affects your learning. It affects how you see that individual. Folks, the power of words. That is why it is important that we are impeccable with our words and we don't use our words against ourselves. And to break free from the spells cast upon us by others, we need to turn to truth. We need to make new agreements with ourselves that is based on truth. Folks, there is still so much to talk about on that one particular point. Be impeccable with your words. I'm wondering if if it would be relevant for us to probe a little deeper into the concept or the idea of gossip, because gossip is pure black magic, you know. And when we gossip, we're not just affecting the person, you know, but we're using our words against ourselves. Because if that person finds out, then the whole perspective of you is going to change. And if that person was a close friend, then you can lose that friend. And that if that person was someone that is providing assistance to you, that assistance is going to stop. And it's because of your words, not because of the action of someone else, but it's because of your words and what you said. So, folks, I stopped by to remind us of this first agreement. It's a very difficult agreement to make, but with effort, if we put effort into it, then we can make that agreement with ourselves where we become impeccable with our words. And when we become impeccable with our words, listen, the relationships that we share, it is going to be better, right? Not only that, but our relationship with Yahweh, with Jesus the Christ, with Yahshua is going to be better. Because Yahshua wants us to speak truth and not lie. Yahshua wants us to be impeccable with our words. He wants us to be careful and selective with the words that we say. I believe I've said enough. And hopefully next week, I do not want to prolong this because being impeccable with your words, it could take quite a number of sessions. But I believe we can stop right here because enough was said to help us understand. If you need more, if you need more, because there is a lot more examples that we can look at, because we just touched on gossip, right? If you need more, just put in a message. Say, yes, I need more. And then we will do that. If not, then we will go to the second agreement because we have 4 agreements that we want to probe into, right? And again, I want to encourage you, make the effort, be conscious, be deliberate, and be impeccable with your words. Before I go, I want to share the quote for the day once again. Put it right up on the screen. Every moment matters. Chase your dreams. Health before money. Celebrate small victories. You have been listening and viewing Inspirational Thoughts with yours truly, Dexter Honore. It was indeed a pleasure being with you. I do appreciate every one of you who stay tuned right through. I know some just pop in and they pop out, but there are a few of you that stay right through, and I really do appreciate your company. And I really hope and pray that something was said that will inspire you to do better and to be better. And if we want to do better and be better, folks, we have to be impeccable with our words. I'm saying ayo this morning. Have a blessed weekend, un feliz weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. And as you prepare for worship, I pray that you will truly worship the Father in spirit and in truth. And if it is the Lord's will, if it is the Lord's desire, we'll meet again on Tuesday morning to do this again. Remember, Monday is off because I do 4 days a week. I used to do 5. And then weekend, I still teach and preach. And I just need the Monday morning to just take a little chill and go through things in my mind, right? That's a decision I took recently. And so hopefully, if the Lord's will, we will live to do this again. So until next time, Tadala. I know it in Parliament Ayo. I know it in Creole au revoir. I don't know any other language. The next language that you know. Oh, let me just check something quickly before I go. I know sometimes my conclusion takes a little longer. But those of you who might be on Facebook, my personal page, I won't get your comments or see your notification on only when I visit the page itself, right? But if you want to communicate directly with me, then it's important that you visit our YouTube channel. The link is in the description. You can find it very, very easily. And right there, you can always comment and send a question. I'll get it almost immediately. Anyways, all that said, have a blessed and productive day today.
Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave.